Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Okay! Welcome to FMLFPL Milan.
This Walsh.
Ooh.
A little daytime pod for everyone today.
Daytime pod, and this exact time where we're kicking off our pod on Friday. The first match of the season will be kicking off.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Big week this week. Big week.
Yeah, so we got this pod. We got a little collage of short firesides coming probably late tomorrow night. Then we have a Thursday pod again, which is normally like our behind the Patreon paywall episode, but for Game Week 1 it won't be. So that'll be out on Thursday evening. And then Friday, the Fuckfest begins. The Mug League is up for Patreon subscribers. I made some like custom notebooks and stuff I'll put in the show notes. I was on the Wonder Goal podcast. Did a Kaylee fireside that came out on Friday. In case you missed it, a lot of people probably did. Holy shit, dude! I'm fucking burnt out.
Yeah,
season hasn't even started yet, and I'm like, when's the break?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm ready for the lineups to lock so I can stop doing this because it's been so overwhelming over the last few days, just making changes and shit. And
it's brutal.
We're here though. We're close. Last week, baby. Last week.
Final countdown.
The Kaylee pod was interesting.
Any specific takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I just couldn't negotiate was his continual emphasis of looking at the last handful of seasons or whatever, as much data as you can for these players. When to me it's like that's so useless. Right? Like I think there are a couple of things you might be able to distill out of that, but like if you look at Raz over the last 5 years, they don't tell one story. They tell three different, very distinct stories with different managers, different positions, different age. Like you can't look at someone.
I think it tells exactly one story. It tells a great, very consistent and productive attacker for Man City. And then a weird dip. Oh no, did he fall off the cliff? And if you kind of aggregate them all, then it's probably like, no, he's probably going to be back to being good, because that would be really weird statistically, right? I think the whole point of it is to put less weight on the one really wildly out of context or out of order outlier season. Like in the case of Son, right? He had the one mega year. Every other year was more similar to last year, even though last year was a bit under. It was very similar to the years prior to the one mega year. So if you just put it all in the aggregate, it's like, okay, he just was like crazy hot for one season. He'll probably be around normalish for this season.
Yeah. But I mean, but even that, like in telling those two things, you need to contextualize both very specifically. Age matters.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they were matters. I mean, because you want to always buy low or buy before. So you can't say like, oh, then, okay, well, if you're 22 and you had one really good, like, we need to take leaps too with our game. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, I think he does account for that. I mean, in the Sun specific one, he was like, yeah, so what I would do is sort of like aggregate it all and then apply like an age curve, right? He's 31 now. So like there's a normal amount of drop off that happens with like attacking wingers or something like that, and apply that to his normal numbers, and that would be like around what you expect from him, I think. But yeah, it's totally different when he was like talking about like Enciso and Ferguson.
Yeah.
He's just like, they might be superstars next year.
Yeah.
We just like don't know
because you don't have the information at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely interesting, some of the teams, and I mean, it's just hearing how much he focuses on the XGI or X plus whatever to just put these this is a 0.7 player, this is a 0.3 player. Like, that was kind of, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But
he comes from baseball, right? Like he was a baseball analytics blogger and worked in that field. And like, I mean, I know our foreign audience doesn't know, but baseball is just all the advanced stats you could ever imagine, all the projecting and all that stuff. And so,
but it was enjoyable. It was definitely enjoyable to hear some of the, mid-table league teams and see where he was coming from. And it was cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Where do we even begin this episode? That's something
I think we should just do questions.
Keeps me up at night, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Let's just do questions, I think.
Okay. There's about 1 million, so we won't get through all of them.
That's what we usually do for this one.
I'll just try and group some sort of together. I mean, let's just bang out some of the maybe new things that have developed since we last potted. One of them is Matt Turner looks like he's like 100% nailed to go to Forest. So we're going to have, if that happens, which I assume it will, we're going to have a nailed 4-0 keeper starter and then a potential other 4-0 keeper starter. I don't know. Luke said rotating goalkeeper is mostly done, but with Turner off to NFO, does pairing him up with Johnstone make sense? They rotate well, or him with anyone? I'm curious, like, what do you think about Turner, and then what do you think about rotating keepers?
Well, it seems first of all, we don't know that NFO are done buying keepers because that Henderson link seems to just perpetuate forever with them.
Yeah.
That said,
are they going to buy both?
I don't know what the numbers are. I mean, I don't know.
Weird. Yeah.
That would probably be a little weird. Like, why just to have genuine competition? I mean, it's not like they have all these games. But yeah, I mean, it seems pretty likely that we can see Turner right now as a starter. I don't think Areola's going to be starting. It seems like...
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be...
That's what we want to happen. One of those things where we're like, well, I assume he'll start the better keeper. But like in reality, I don't think he will.
Yeah. And David Moyes is like, which one of you is older? I'm going to pick you.
Yeah, exactly. Who can I connect to more?
Imagine if we could have access to the data that Moyes looks at to make decisions. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
But I think so Turner should be in literally every single team, but I think as backup, not as, starter, because he's not going to get any points in this opening run. Like, they have such ridiculous fixtures. They have one clean shout for the first month and a half. Home Sheffield, game week 2. I mean, home Burnley will maybe, we have to see what Burnley look like at that point. It's a shout. It's not. Yeah. But I mean, NFO keeping anyway. So I put him with Johnstone, and that is very nice. I can make use of him starting game week 2.
Because Palace are home Arsenal that week.
If you want, could do that. But yeah, Turner looks like a good one, and maybe someone that you could backdoor into a starter after the first couple months and free up funds with your second spot if you think that looks good in NFL or doing something. But he seems like he should be in every team, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Forest are good. Yeah. And their keeper points were very low last season. If you just aggregate Hendo, Navas, and a couple Hennessy starts in there, it's just very bad. Like one of the worst in the league. So there's no part of me that's like, well, Turner's going to blow all of them out of the water and save 2 pens like Hendo did and be a great pick or something like that. But I agree with the backup. And just using the Palace example that Luke sent, I mean, so Game week 2, Palace are home Arsenal, Forest are home Sheffield. Game week 5, Palace are at Villa, Forest are home Burnley. And even all the way to game week 7, Palace are at Man United and Forest are home Brentford. All of those are just great. I'd rather start Turner in those. So that's really nice. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Because the one thing we did see from NFO last year was great at the City Ground. So, you definitely don't want to start them away, but if you can rotate like that, then that could be something for sure.
Yeah, my problem is that I don't know if there's any basis to this at all other than just vibes, but I just don't like rotating keepers, which is weird because I love rotating defenders. But keepers their points are just different. They just sometimes get those 9 save hauls. You'd probably miss those because they're against good teams, right? Or just weird shit happens. But
over the long term, though, if you do, it should balance out. I mean, just because you get those random hauls, more often they're getting under 3 points,
Probably, yeah. Probably.
So when and I don't even think it's that strict of a rotation, like who has the better fixture, play them. It's just like there are a few that you could very clearly dodge from Johnstone that are bad against, like, but he's going to start like 75% of the games. It's not,
right.
You know what I mean? It's not like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like
Right.
we used to do with 2-4-5s, home rotation with like Newcastle and Sunderland or something.
It has to be like an egregious difference in like what your clean sheet expectation, I think, to get there. Yeah. I think that's a good one.
Really like Turner as a player. I mean, we loved watching him for us in the World Cup.
He was fucking great in the World Cup. And everyone, like Nate and other Arsenal fans leading up to the World Cup, were saying like he's been so good in all the cup games. Like he just looks really good. His passing has gotten so much better and like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Like I hope he's good, but whatever. And then he was just fucking great. And apparently he was great in Europa League too.
He's better. I think he's better than Ramsdale.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I do.
But Raya is. That's for
Raya
sure.
is. We know that. Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Well, we got to talk about Gvardiol to City, which there's not like a specific question on. I mean, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it. But he's 5 million.
5 million is insane. It's so ridiculous.
100 million pound player, 5 million in the game. Cheapest defender, tied for cheapest defender on the team.
Whoa.
Like what are they doing?
Rico Lewis is 4 or 5, but yeah.
Yeah, starting defender with a chance, or defender with a chance of starting. That's what I mean.
It's just so ridiculous he wasn't 5'5". It's so obvious. Like he's the same caliber of FPL pick as Stones and Ruben. They should just be the same. But yeah, I mean, he's really good player. Going to start vast majority of their games. Definitely will be in their first choice. Definitely him, Ruben, Stones, 3 best. I mean, I don't know what to say. I think it's a more matter of when, not if. Like, do you want him game week 1? Do you have him game week 1? Bench him? Could do that. What do you?
I think. I don't know. I mean, my initial reaction, and it's been one day, so I haven't had that much time to think about it. But it was just like he should be in every team
right away.
Right away. Like he maybe doesn't start game week 1 or something like that, but he'll be in very soon, and he's so fucking cheap. We know we don't want to use transfers on defenders, right? There's plenty of like as soon as I saw that, I had like a tinker. As soon as I saw that, I had a tinker open, and I just immediately was like, "Fuck! I gotta just change it and put him in."
Yeah,
like he should just be in my team because he's, like you said, he's their best defender. He's gonna play the majority of the games. Whether at left back or left center back, he's by far the best. And yeah, I mean, I think soon he'll start starting on most of the games. So
yeah,
I don't want to be doing like Perv to him or Gabrielle to him in game week 5 and miss 2 or 3 cleans. I just want him, and I'm just gonna deal with it later or something if he's a problem.
It's only 0.5 though between him and Stones and Ruben. So I don't know. I don't think it's that obvious. Like you should definitely have him game week 1 when the difference is just 0.5. He's better long term. I mean, if that's a 0.5 to free up and it gets you the other thing that you're like, like the South Park meme with the cum everywhere. He's like, yes, I got it with that extra 0.5. Like Stones, yeah, like so Randy, right? Stones to him in your draft makes it look better. You can, hope for the best there.
Yeah.
I am more interested in how it, because I've been pretty into having Stones and Ruben in my team.
Yeah.
I've liked that more.
I love how you say Ruben, by the way. It's fucking
there's an
terrific.
accent on the U, so I want to fuck you because it's not Diaz anymore. So I want to give an accent on the E. Kane. I mean, I think I don't hate the triple city D with Kane. I mean, if Kane's gonna stay.
Oh my God, I had no idea what you even meant. I'm so brain dead right now. Okay, so Kane stays. You're thinking triple city D and Kane.
Gvardiol, Ruben, Stones. With a good. I mean, you can do that.
Yeah,
and then it frees a lot of money up. I think it's still dumb and stupid from a game theory, how to play the game perspective because of the ownership questions, but I think it makes it a lot more viable because we actually have 3 reasonably certain, like, will play a lot of the games, at least initially, with these 3 defenders, whereas we didn't have that before. And everyone's like, oh, I've got to have Ederson. It's like, it's okay. But the other thing with that is, watching, I'm just so bought into Ange Ball. Like, the Spurs games are insane. Like, these preseason games.
I haven't watched any.
I
see the
I've
numbers
watched some
and shit.
extendeds and some highlights and stuff, but the numbers and where all the players are on the pitch, I mean, we haven't really seen anything like this before. And them putting up, 30 to 5 shots each game. Granted, they're not playing Premier League opposition, but I mean, what do we do with that? I mean, I'm taking very extreme notice. We still are looking, to me, you look at the Spurs squad and it's amazing. Like, they have amazing players in their team. They don't have amazing defensive midfielders or center backs, but they have amazing attackers. And if they're literally only going to be attacking with all of their players in the other half, I like that. They don't need defenders if they don't defend. That's sort of what he's doing, right? I mean, that's sort of what they are doing.
Outscore you, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
setup.
It's something to think about in this last week.
We got Spurs questions. I mean, so Hornetto on what you're talking about said Spurs have put up 10 plus shots on target in each preseason match, 20 against Shakhtar tonight. So that was like yesterday, I think. He said this could mean for big opposition keeper hauls, which I don't know what to fucking do with that. But he said, or am I just in overthink mode here? Is the real message I should be targeting Spurs attack more? Bjornar said, does Kane staying make Matto and Son more interesting? And Al said, is Kane a better second premium than Mo?
A lot of questions there.
A lot of questions.
What are you looking at?
I want to start with
Spurs?
Matto.
Yeah.
Because I think that I saw you talking in Discord and I've been the same. Where in the last 10 days, I've just been like, he's in my team.
Yeah, I can't get him out.
He's just in my team. I mean, I think that like, what I was thinking about when I was like packing my fucking apartment a little bit is like, why is it interesting to have firesides from people outside of FPL? And I think there's a lot of reasons. It could help your FPL game, see stuff from a different angle, different perspective. I mean, for me, it also makes watching and following just a lot more interesting and fun. But also sometimes it makes me lose sight of some very obvious FPL things that are like specific to FPL, right? Like, and Matto, I think, is a good example of this, right? He's just an incredible pick. I mean, his floor is... He's
an incredible player, first and foremost. Like, that is what gets overlooked to me. A lot more player. With FPL. No, see, and in real life.
I see that I don't agree with. And that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about, is that I question his ability to like be valuable for a team fighting for Champions League. I don't know about that.
That's something different. I mean, it depends how we're defining these terms. I mean, yes, he obviously isn't a complete player. He's not world class. He can't do everything.
Yeah,
but when he's in that 10-ish attacking, don't have to track back and do any defending role, then he's incredible at that. And I think that's incredible.
I think the stuff that he's FPL incredible at are not incredible things for IRL, is what I mean. Like taking 8 bad shots.
Yeah, you hate
like if you can't do that on a good team.
This is a personal attack.
But what I'm saying is that like for FPL, I mean, his floor is high for a 7.5 midfielder. His floor is like very solid. Earn his price easily, good. His ceiling is best pick in the fucking game.
Well, let's not get carried away here.
I'm getting carried away. Like, why wouldn't
best
I?
Pick in the game. I mean, he's not going to bang 20 and 10 or something. All of a sudden.
His ceiling that we've seen so far is 181 points in 2,400 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
I mean, he's not going to have pens.
7.5 midfielder with 200 point potential is potential best pick in the game. And so that's what I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm just saying that there's not really a world in my head, at least, where I don't see him minimum earning his price and a lot of room to out earn his price.
I agree with that. That's part of the reason. I think the other thing that you're talking about that we too lose sight of sometimes is that the age of the players does matter a lot because, they only have a few career years and you want to try and pinpoint when that year is sort of going to be. And like with Madison, it could be this year, it could be next year. It's to come versus like we talked about Raz or Son or Mo.
Yep.
It happened already. It happened. What are you buying from this standpoint? Well, that's interesting. I don't agree with that. I genuinely don't agree with that.
Okay.
Looking at what might be going on there this year. That aside, we can touch on that later. You're buying players who you believe can do the highest level that they have yet to achieve versus, Raz to some extent, right? Son, Mo, how close can you recapture that? Like, what are they going to do? And that price is baked in. That cost is baked into the price of the player.
Right.
So, you want to, hitting that sweet spot where they have the price drop off a down year and then they bounce back. It's harder, I think, to do that or to identify that than to find these guys who just, he's Madison 7.5. Next year's gonna be 9.5. That this is, he's gonna or someone like that.
Yep. On every set piece, all that stuff. Like he just ticks literally every box. So I'm glad that we're aligned there. I think he's pretty nailed in my team at this point.
Okay.
Then Kane. Does Kane make Matto and Son more interesting? I guess we talk about Son and Kane separately.
Son's worrying.
Yeah, like he's he went down in price, but we have a lot of years of data of Son being around that price of the 9-ish and being fine, right? Like maybe you get him for a hot run and he's good. He's not going to be good in another run. He's going to get hurt at some point. Yada yada yada. Fine. I don't think he's like an egregious underprice.
Yeah, and my issue more with Son is that they're going to be having a lot of possession and dominance in the final third. We don't know if Son's good at any of that. Right. All he's been good at since we saw him come into the scene, and the only style that Spurs have ever played since he's been there pretty much, is counterattacking.
Yeah, transition.
Running into space or running with the ball or making a diag and getting a long ball. That's where he gets his, 12, 15 goals more or less, is like that kind of shit, or banging something from outside the box. He'll do that a few times because he's a really good player. But we also see him when he's, when they do have sustained possession, just getting in other players' ways or making the wrong run. It just doesn't, so it's tough there versus, players like Madison and Kane, and I think Rich also like can thrive in that environment.
Right.
So I'm a little worried about Son. I'm also starting to really get more into Kulusevski, Decky. He looks like he's kind of back to normal.
Yeah.
He's someone who, also blew onto the scene when he got there. Sure, maybe some of those goals were a little bit, in air quotes, lucky when he first arrived, but went up in price last year, had a really fucked up year, played a lot of minutes, but was, kind of looked off and hurt all year, kind of like Son. But price dropped again. He looks good to me. And I think him on that side is, being that role, unlike Son, like this is like what he's good at. Like going in, like taking on, finding the incisive, accurate cross.
Cutbacks and stuff.
Yeah, cutbacks and shit. And I feel like he can also, get his fair share of goals. I don't know. I think Kulusevski's a really underrated, interesting pick.
He's 7.
My team right now, I have him and Madison in.
Wow.
I don't have Mo in my team, but I honestly, dude, if Spurs are going to play this way this year, they will be the most attacking team in the year. They will be the most attacking team in the league.
It's like them and Liverpool, who seem to just be like, well, we're just gonna have 5 forwards and just not play that much defense and don't have a DM really.
Don't care about controlling the game.
Basuma
in middle
and
parts.
Hoj, you'd think they'd be sort of solid, but if their fullbacks are pushing up into the final third,
apparently Sarr played really well the other game. It looks like Sarr. he picked Sarr. I think he fucking hate. I think Hoj is getting the fuck out of this place. But
maybe
Yeah, Spurs, and with Kane too. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to go, but it seems like the bald fraud is the most fraudulent fraud of life, and he's not going. I mean, I don't know. I can't keep track every day.
I still feel like he'll go because it's so universally stupid to not sell him from a business standpoint. It's just insane. You want to rebuild a squad? You want to get money for your best ever fucking player? You want to get younger? Yada, yada, yada. All things that unanimously you would want to do when building a squad because you're not winning the fucking title this year. You sell him for $100 fucking million. Like, at his age, he had his last probably fit season. He also had his best ever season at this age. That's just not happening again. I'm sorry. That is just not happening again. Don't buy players after their best ever season, especially when they're fucking older than 30 and get all these corner goals and get fucking 6 fantasy assists that aren't real assists. It's just everything. Everything he did. I'm just like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's hard to assume reasonable logic like that when these like billionaires do whatever. Like, we don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, the difference is like to me with Kane and Ange is, I mean, he's like the highest shot taking forward ever. And he's never played in a team that dominates in the final third and attacks consistently. So, I mean, he can get more shots this year than he ever has. I mean, is he gonna hit 30 and 9? Okay, that is a lot, 39 returns. He doesn't need to do that to hit value at 12.5 in the game, though, at all. I mean, he can come down by 5 or so from that total and still be in the 230 range and be like, yeah, this was good. This is good. So I think that if he stays, he's still very viable as a pick in this new system if they continue to do these things. I'm interested.
I think he's viable in the sense that he's going to get goals and points. I have no doubt about that. But 12.5, is he better second premium than Mo? I don't know. I don't think so. I just still don't think so. Again, best season of his life, right? Like if you look, he's probably going to be more close to the 20 goal range. And, like his assists, real assists vary a lot over his career, but getting 6 fantasy assists is very luck-based and not skill-based. That just randomly happens. That doesn't happen year over year. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to put them in the system this year and make your best guess, because Mo, similarly, in the 20 goal. I mean, they when they play the same number of minutes, outside of Mo's best season, which was like 6 years ago or whatever, he had 300 points, he's like 250, 240, 250. I mean, we're not talking about like these are complete, way different, end product and end numbers here if they play the same number of minutes, I don't think.
Yeah, we are. What are you talking about? Look at Kane's history. He had 263 last year. He had 192 in 3,200 minutes. 242, then 158, 2,500 minutes, 160 and 2,400 minutes. And then again, 6 years ago, 217, 3,000 minutes.
So I mean, the last 3 years though, he played the 150. Those he was injured. So I mean, the last 3 he plays 3,000 plus in each. It's 242, 192, 263. And again, it sounds like I'm putting a lot more weight into me putting him in this new system where they're attacking more than they ever have. And I think that there is room for growth there. And maybe that is just balancing out the luck-based headers on corners that he had last year, and he's going to kind of end up with the same 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, see, I don't know because I don't do these kind of fucking like studies or whatever, but I don't think that like just because the team's more attacking, he gets like more shots, more chances, more goals. I mean, he'll get less bonus if the team's actually doing good stuff, right? We talked about that on the postmortem, right? He gets by far the most bonus in the league because the team fucking sucks. I just don't think that that's how it works out. Like, I don't think you can just take a player who's always been a shot monster, dong fest in every team he's played in, whether they were really good teams, which there were really good teams, really bad teams, he was just donging for fun and a shot monster. I don't think it changes that much the profile of the player.
All right. We could keep doing this one for a long time. So let's move it along. What's next?
What is next? Well, we got the World Cup style stoppage time shit.
I really don't want to talk about that.
I mean,
is there something? Do you want to make a point?
I don't know. One Mo said, this has been on my mind. With the World Cup style stoppage time, it can only mean less cleans. If you add 10% more time to games, the good teams will be better, bad teams will be worse. Basically saying, like, are the 4 or 5 defenders on bad teams going to suffer? And Jitterbug saying, like, maybe the punty kind of bench guys, like a Jota type, is better because, like, they'll sub on and get 10 extra minutes at the end of games instead of getting, none. 2.
I mean, this is such a small minor edge. It's instead of 4 minutes of stoppage, there's 8. Like, I don't fucking give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know if it matters.
We'll never know because you can't distill like a study to this changed, therefore all of the results are down to this. Like,
we won't know until like 3 years later to be like, wow, there are consistently more goals in the 99th plus minute. It's like,
and there were before in the 93rd plus minutes. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't fucking know. There's a Nkunku injury, which is another big thing that happened. I mean, it's still kind of rumored, but it seems founded in something because originally it was like, he'll miss 1 game, and then it became like he's going to be out a few weeks, and now it's like rumored he's out for 2 months. And Bolter said, with Nkunku rumored out 2 months, is Nico Jackson a target due to guaranteed minutes or an avoid due to the team being worse? And Ben, Nico Jackson versus Matoma, with Nkunku seemingly out a month. So I guess these questions are more about Nico. But what do you think? Like, where are you at on like Chelsea attack right now?
I'm pretty worried. I don't see all of a sudden, where a lot of the creativity is coming from. I mean, I guess the answer is the wings. So the only possible destination of the creativity are headers at the center of the box, which I guess would be where Nico Jackson's standing. But I mean, unlike with Ange, seeing him come in and just be like, I'm going to just do this shit all the time. Like with Poch, he's like, I feel like he's a lot more of a pragmatic manager.
He's trying to win.
Yeah, he's trying to win. But I mean, also just how attacking or how many chances is this Chelsea team going to really be creating from the beginning of the season on a consistent basis? I'm just kind of concerned about that in general. Look, 7 million forward, it's not a hefty price to pay. Yeah. And he does look good, and he doesn't need to do a lot for that to be fine. I'm not too into paying to find out game week 1 when they do have 2 tough fixtures right away. I'm happier to wait and see how that settles in and see how they look after a few games, rather than kind of be the first person to buy there, I think is sort of what I'm feeling. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I've loved him as a pick, like from the start. And I got to say, this is definitely like one of the spots in tinkering that I'm having a hard time with, which is like him in general, him versus like a João Pedro type, and him versus like a 5th mid. And I don't really know where I'm going to settle. I think he's going to be a really good pick. I also think, and I'm getting more evidence of this with the preseason game going on right now, I just think that Liverpool is going to be a good fixture for him and like a team like Chelsea who can break with pace. I just think Liverpool look to be just as wide open as last year and just as fucking mental. And there's going to be goals in that game both ways. So I don't see that as a red fixture. I'm like, yeah, Chelsea's going to score 2 at home, and Nico's going to be the tip of the spear and get all the stuff. I'm not settled on this one, but I do really like him as a pick.
Yeah, I don't have as much confidence as you there at all. I have a feeling, just looking up and down the Chelsea team, that Liverpool, I mean, they're not going to give up 0 chances, but that could be a score draw 1-1. I mean, I don't have really a good idea what that game's going to look like. I mean, Chelsea might just be trying to stay in shape the whole game and try not to get disassembled by all the crazy shit Liverpool's doing to them. So I'm not sure. That fixture aside, just more broadly speaking, I'm not going to love it. Like, yes, definitely amazing. Go for him game week 1. I'm not going to hate it. Like, I think it's just somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
Just because, we really don't have a good idea of what this Chelsea team is going to look like personnel-wise or how they're going to function. It's a punt.
Yeah, it's definitely a punt.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And yeah, punts are iffy game week 1. I mean, we don't really need to be making punts.
Yeah.
But
And then
it's
the
fun.
other side of me is like, well, yeah, it's fun, but the other side of me is also just like, who am I if I'm not attacking these Chelsea fixtures? And the first 2 on paper, not great, and then it's just the most ridiculous run of 6 games in the league.
Yep.
That's part of it. I mean, I just look at that and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I mean, Raz is still going in and out of my team every day, basically, of just,
Love it.
sheer
Love it.
blindness of just, it's Raz.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and then you look at it as like, you can very reasonably make an argument that he's not in their best 11, that he's not in their first choice 11.
Out, I don't think you could even make that argument now.
But where's he playing though? Because I mean, he keeps stationing him way out on the wing in Fuckland, where he used to be a bad FPL pick under Pep. He would do that sometimes, where he wouldn't leave the touchline. He's just a width merchant. I mean, because if he doesn't have the freedom to cut inside and come inside and make forward diags and inside, I mean, you think he'll be given that? I mean, where is he going to play?
I think he will. I mean,
where's he going to play? Right wing?
Loosely right wing, left wing, 10-ish, flexible position. Definitely his role. I mean, the only thing he's really elite at is like getting into the box, receiving the ball in the box, getting shots, getting chances.
Yeah.
So like if you're playing him, that's what he's going to give you. I think that like the positioning loosely doesn't matter that much with a player like him if he's playing minutes. I mean, I think he'll get chances.
It matters if he's playing all the way on the edge and he's not able to do that.
I just don't think that's a realistic thing that he's just going to be like, you stay there, don't move, you're our width. Especially without Nkunku. I mean, they need shots, they need goals. And like, he's the next guy.
Who can play in the central areas? They don't have anybody.
Chukwuemeka started the last one, right?
So he's just playing now?
Or Gallagher? I mean, that's Gallagher's best position, right? Off striker in the middle.
10?
Yeah, I think he's a 10.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's a mess. Is what it is to me.
It might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I should. I don't know. Reconsider. But yeah. Do you have anything to say about some of the other new signings? I mean, Højlund is $7 million. Bob Sanchez to Chelsea, your favorite keeper. Disasi to Chelsea. Did he get priced? I don't think so.
Yeah, he's 5.
Oh, he's 5. Yeah, okay.
I mean, Bob Monster. We don't have to touch on that. I mean, I think the Højlund he's weeks away. It sounds like he's hurt.
He's hurt.
But ultimately, that's good for Rash because it'll let Rash not have to play striker.
Soon,
in my opinion. Yeah, somewhat soon. I'm not interested in him as a pick, but I'm interested in him from just making the team better because they need a striker so badly, obviously.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no. I mean, I think it was just really Gvardiol that came in since we last talked.
Yeah, that's a big one. Some macro stuff here. Psych-Up said, is it a good idea to start without triple ups to able to easily get the best performing players without sideways moves? For example, starting with just 2 Arsenal players, not 3. So we can easily get whoever performs well after, whatever. Same with United, maybe Brighton, maybe City. I think it makes sense.
Generally, I think it makes sense, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense when the games that you want them for are these first 3 games and then the fixtures turn. And then you're like, well, I don't really want them because they don't have good fixtures. So I'm not going to get a third player.
Yeah.
So, from that perspective, I think you sort of need to, buy a ticket and go for it.
Although in Arsenal's case, I mean, yes, with defense, but I'm not buying their best attacker because they're home United, at Everton, home Spurs, at Bournemouth. Like, I'm still buying that player.
Yeah, that's fair. But ultimately, that's like, what are you really trying to protect yourself over? And what are you going to really reasonably learn from over the first few games that we don't know now? Right. Like, I mean, it's not like there's, one of these 8 players is going to be great and I have no clue. It's like, right. Maybe you get the Martinelli versus Odegaard question wrong, but you're still fine.
Yeah, still hold,
Versus don't get them at all. I mean, I guess that's what I'm having a little hard time with.
I think that it's like a mental block of like, I don't want to make a sideways move, meaning I don't want to move a player on the same team to a different player on the same team. Well, it's the same fucking transfer. There's no difference of going like, Ollie Watkins to Jesus as it is like Martinelli to fucking Trossard, whatever. Yeah. It's one free transfer used to get an Arsenal player.
Yeah, it's totally a mental, psychological thing that we think it's a sideways move when it's clearly an upgrade because you're getting rid of a worse player for a better player.
Sideways move means I'm making a move that's not going to actually get me more points.
Yeah.
In which case,
we do all the time.
Don't make that move.
Yeah, we do those all the time.
Just never make that move. Yeah.
It's just unknowingly.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper transfers, usually sideways.
Always sideways. Unless you do it at the perfect moment.
Which is what's going to happen next time.
Peter and Son said, with so many picks at similar price points, no idea who's going to end up being the best boy. Is at least 0.5 in the bank to cover any price charges more important this year?
It's always good to do.
I think it's always good.
Yeah, you can never say, oh, this is definitively the year where it's better to do it than it ever has been. If you can do it, it's good. And if you can't, that's fine too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's it for these macro questions. I'm just hopping around fucking all over the place. We could talk a little bit more about Arsenal. We're already on them and the Community Shield happened. So, a couple Kai things. Sign said, if you had to pick, who would you trade off for Kai? Saka, Odegaard, or Martinelli? And Harley Boy said, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills seeing Kai actually getting hyped up by the community after the Community Shield. Is there something I'm missing, or is this propaganda from Arsenal fans? Is Kai a pick?
No.
I do not think Kai is a pick.
He's not a pick. He never was a pick. He's going to have games where he's just a versatile piece that's going to play. But from an FPL standpoint, the inconsistencies there seem... He ticks basically no box.
He's not Matto, is what you're trying to say.
I've come to the point where I'm pretty happy just having Saka, and that's it from Arsenal. And that's what I feel pretty certain I will end up on. It just feels like, without Jesus, there's going to be... I have more questions than answers at this point. And I don't see too many things that I'm so happy with, looking at the other picks where the fail cases seem fairly likely. Playing a little bit deeper, Martinelli not playing striker as much. If Eddie's going to be playing, seems to be the case to me.
I think he's Tross. I think honestly, the one guy that might be the pick outside of Saka, I think might be Tross. I was really unhappy he didn't start up top, but Nate was saying that he thinks Tross will start up top and get a lot of minutes out of this, and he's been amazing. I think the City lineup was weird. They played really weird and differently to try and deal with City, I think. But Odegaard did not look encouraging at all to me in that game, and Martinelli didn't really either. He got his one chance. And all the chances fell to Kai, but I don't expect him to keep playing number 9. It's just, I don't know.
But not Necktie?
No, I think...
So Necktie's just signed on for life to be their third choice striker?
Kinda. They were literally making Necktie to Tross last year was a turning point for them of we're back to being really good again. That was a big change. And gets the most out of Martinelli, so...
Yeah, we'll see. I just don't want to. I don't want to bet on that.
That was Graham's question: was how do you feel about Martinelli with Jesus out? So, if it is Necktie, it's obviously bad for him. It's very bad for him.
Yeah, but then he's playing wing. Pretty much all game, every game. Yeah. Where are you at on Arsenal players in your team?
I also only have Saka, which is kind of funny that we both came to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Ferg said you were pretty split on Rice being a pick on the postmortem, with Alon arguing Rice isn't a pick and Walsh being right. Any major changes in opinion here?
If I still maintain, if they didn't get Kai, Rice would be a pick. If Rice was strictly playing Shaka role and Tom, if that was the thing, then he's a pick. But if that's not the case, so
let me translate that for you. He's not a pick.
He's not a pick.
And then on the City side, Josh said, is Julian real? X50 said, City have such good fixtures, but is the upside worth the downside of Pep rotation madness? The same City questions for the last fucking 10 years. Is this just a case of waiting for leaks before the Burnley game?
I mean, maybe that. Where are you at on Foden? Has also been in and out. Like, I have
Foden,
no idea.
Alvarez,
I have no idea what to do there.
Defenders. I mean, you would be not playing the game well if you did not go for leaks on Friday.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, we're going to get a leak. They're the first game of the first game week. They're playing a fucking promoted side. They're going to beat them 5-0. You should get, if Foden's starting, get him. If Alvarez is starting, get him. I mean, I'm actually just like, that's me simplifying it, but I think that that's probably right. Like, why would we be like, I'm going to get him, I'm going to get Foden or Alvarez because I think they're going to have like good seasons and find other starts elsewhere if they're not starting in a league team.
That's fine. But let's, that aside, say you're working and you're not going to be on to do that.
Yeah, or in a bad time zone or something.
Yeah. I mean, Foden, like, are you back in on Foden or still out? We were both very lukewarm and kind of out on Foden, but I've been sort of starting to get a little bit more in. Where are you at with him?
I would say I'm more in for kind of like an interesting reason that maybe we haven't specifically discussed, but I was kind of thinking about like, I was getting annoyed, everyone talking about like the tactics and the positioning and all this stuff. Like, oh, he's going to be playing like Gundo, left center mid. It's bad for FPL, like blah, blah. And I was like, maybe. And I just kept thinking about that more on my own. And I was just like, yeah, but I mean, for people who've played FPL for a long time, we always look for that out of position player playing up top, right? That's like the gold mine, blah, blah, blah. But like, there also didn't used to be teams as good as City. What is left center mid for City? What is Gundo role for City?
Basically a second striker, support
He's going to be at the top of the box.
Yeah.
Gundo took more shots than Foden last year and got more XG than Foden last year.
And Foden's just faster. Yeah. And more dynamic. So,
and really, also really good at shooting.
Yeah.
So like, it's just like one of those weird things, right? Where we always have historically called teams' formations by what they do in defense, right? Like Liverpool, 4-3-3, like in the prime Liverpool teams, right? 4-3-3. No, I mean in possession, which they were most of the game, they're 2-3-5.
Yeah,
Trent and Robbo are in the fucking final third. Mane and Mo are inside.
Wingers,
it's ridiculous to call it 4-3-3,
yeah.
but that's just like what we do as a standard. Like City don't play 4-3-3 or even the box 3 thing. Like Foden's going to be top of the box if he's starting there, which is the big question. He's going to be fucking there shooting, getting good chances, all that stuff. So I kind of like came full circle to be like, it doesn't really matter. Like if he's where he is, because if he's playing against 95% of the teams they play, he's like, second striker, top of the box, taking shots, getting chances.
Yeah. I mean, Foden. Yeah, I could see having him in, final.
What about Alvarez? Where are you at on Alvarez? I think it seems like
totally
you're out on Alvarez.
Totally out on Alvarez.
Why?
I just still don't. First of all, he to me can really only play one position.
I know.
I'm not convinced
that weird position. Like,
I'm not convinced they're done buying. First of all, I mean, I could see them adding a right winger for 70 million that we don't even know about right now.
I mean, but Kudu's potentially going to Brighton for 40 million. Like, in what world is City just not like, here's 45?
Yeah, and I'm seeing today that Personal couldn't get there. Like maybe that's maybe one of the oil barrels from City fell off the back of the truck.
Yeah, Pep.
And it made its way into Kudus's backyard.
They got a new sponsorship? Wow, out of nowhere.
But I still feel like Alvarez is not gonna play enough, and I also don't. I'm not convinced that him and Haaland work. I just don't have a good enough read on Alvarez, honestly. To be like, when he plays, he's going to get points. I mean, the only reason why that kind of happened last year to me is just because he played at City. But with Foden, I feel like that's the case. And he can also get like 30 returns this year. Yeah. I don't feel like Alvarez the same way. I also don't. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Alvarez, I'm just not interested. Not interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was really great at the end of the season, Alvarez. He had some like huge hauls starting at forward. I don't know, but it was a little weird with Erling, right? He got subbed off early. He missed a couple games. Like the league was wrapped up early. Like he also just like fell off. Like Haaland was like visibly tired and not playing as well. I agree with you. I mean, I don't like for the first 70% of the season, I think anytime Alvarez sort of like cameoed in that like Kev role, it was just like, this is bad. I hope that never happens again. But
he can't do that job.
Whenever he plays
up top.
forward, he's like an incredible god pick. So I think I agree with you that I've cooled off on it a bit. But yeah, Foden could be good.
Yeah, because with Foden, you know that no matter where he is, if he's on the team sheet, he's a great bet for points. And we don't have the same thing with Alvarez at this moment. To me, I also just don't know. Like, I'm just not into Alvarez right now. I don't know.
I really like him, but yeah, it does seem a little bit. I'm not sure. Like, I'm just looking because I don't really remember. So, like the Chelsea game, he downed. Haaland didn't play. Then the Fulham game, he donned. Haaland got an early pen. And then I think that was the game where Alvarez just had a worldie. Well, he won the pen, so he got an assist, and then had that like worldie. That was his big double return game where he did play that sort of like Kev role. Liverpool game, he donned. Haaland didn't play. Southampton game, he subbed on and got a late pen because Haaland subbed off. I don't know. Does that seem sustainable to me? Like, no, not really. Is he really good? Yes. Could he haul? Yeah, but I think I agree with you. And the flexibility. I mean, Pep is such a fucking troll, right? He's like, Foden can play 5 different positions, doesn't start in Community Shield. And it's like, how many of the 5 are on the bench? That's what I need to know. He's like, he could play left bench, he could play right bench, he could play central bench, he could play fucking locker room bench. Like, he is so versatile.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Fucking troll, dude. Absolute fucking troll. Where should we go next? Tio and others, as brought up by my esteemed colleague Hemdog, should we be worried about the likes of Ratman and other bitches given the new yellow card rules they seem to be pushing? Did you watch Community Shield?
Of course not. You know I don't watch preseason.
The yellow cards were absurd. First of all, the yellow cards not given were just classic. It's like, okay, that was the most blatant yellow card ever, not given. But then the yellow cards given were just like kick the ball away, not like far. Like move the ball 5 yards off the pitch, or like Arteta like says one thing, instant yellow, like just all this shit. So people are a little worried about the anti-time wasting agenda. I don't know what to do with it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
Don't care.
All of that shit, I don't think really should influence like players we pick. I mean, everyone's playing with the same set. You know, I mean, it's not. To me, it's not like, oh, this new rule definitively is a reason you should definitely not have Bruno because of this. Like he might get an extra -3 over the course of the first 3 months because he does something petulant. It's like, okay. Like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. They'll also learn really fast, I think. We underrate the adaptability of the player. I mean, if he's getting a yellow card every game because he like complains, then I'm pretty sure someone is going to notice and be like, dude, you have to stop fucking doing that. Chester said, is it smart to start the season with Wissa as first on the bench? I love the pick, but with an early wild card potentially in play, I feel like we should invest in the first 11. Where are you at currently on like Wissa, Brentford, Bumo, who might be hurt?
Yeah, I mean, still in the same fading position that I was in, last few weeks that we've been talking about. But I still think that they're both, again, like fine, air quote, fine picks.
Yeah. Because
of the fixtures early on. And, they'll be competent, I suppose, right? I mean, even though they don't have Tony, they should still be just a fine mid-table team. So what do you need to do to earn a 6 million forward tag?
6 is so cheap.
Not a ton. Same for a 6.5 million midfielder spot. And with Bumo still has all the avenues. So I still think they're fine.
Yeah.
Just not for me.
Not for you. Yeah, I mean, Wissa has like not really left a single tinker of mine.
Yeah,
and Bumo hasn't been in a tinker of mine, which is, I guess, weird because he's much more highly on. But I think just 6 million forward, nailed, mid-table team. It's just like unheard of. I think his floor is good, ceiling's high. Start every game. Yeah, I think he's a great pick, and I plan on starting him every game.
There you go.
Ferganing said there's been a lot of discussion preseason on a lot of teams having a designated attacking fullback while the other fullback tucks inside, like Chilwell and James, Trent Robbo, Stones, Akanji, Dean, Konza. Do you think there's anything in this, and should it be a deciding factor in choosing your defender? And have you seen any teams decide to say fuck it and let both fullbacks rip? Brighton are all I can think of, and there's some noise on Udogie and Porro combo being this. Porro doesn't seem first choice to me.
No, I mean, the team he played the other day looks like that's the team. I mean,
and that was Udogie and Royale, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Udogie's he's in my current team.
Okay. Talk to me about
that. He just seems like he's straight up not a fullback, sort of. And he has actual... I mean, his fucking record is insane in Italy. I mean, I understand he's been wing backing, but plenty of wingbacks don't put up, 9 returns kind of thing in Italy. I mean, it's still, he knows where the goal is, and he's like fast as fuck and recovery pace. And he's 23 or some shit. I mean, it's clearly Ange loves him. He keeps talking about him and shit. I feel like threat too. Yeah.
Like
that's
he's
what
not
I mean.
just assists. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not just putting in low crosses. He's shooting and scoring like 4 goals. I just think for 4-5, I mean, where are we looking? I mean, everyone's saying, well, they're not going to keep any clean sheets. I don't agree with that. Again, I mean, I feel like they will keep 10, I mean, or something like that. Maybe 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that. I mean, we're not going to be looking at like 6 or 4, but if he's, I mean, I'm not starting him, at City and against Liverpool and shit. He's a fucking 4-5 defender. So you can just rotate him. And in those, I mean, it's when you compare him to, like the Villa 4-5 defense or whoever else at 4-5 defense. I mean, it's not like those in the good fixtures when you're rotating are with a great degree of certainty a much better clean sheet shout than Spurs in a similar fixture. Nope. It's like, they're all kind of like, I'm probably not, but I hope so. Yeah. And at least when you have something like Udogie coming in here, he's a genuine goal or assist threat every game. I mean, that carries a lot of weight to me when you look at this pick. I mean, who is an early bandwagon pick? This is, he ticks all those boxes for me. Kind of who's someone who looks like, holy shit, like how come I didn't have him? Yeah. If it's game week 4 sitting there after these first 3 games, it's like, well, Spurs are fucking attacking nonstop. This is just another winger and he's a 4-5 defender. Like that's an obvious pick. So I've talked myself into him. I like him a lot.
Yeah. I've had a lot of my notes before this pod are me just like doing other things and just thinking of random shit, like shower thought kind of things. This is like my precog because I have been so fucking AFK. But yeah, I did have a thought about like attacking defenders, and Udogie I have been tinkering with as well. So I like to hear that you're in on him. But we always say that like you can't predict defender attacking returns. And so like if you're rotating them, you're inevitably going to like miss dongs and blah blah blah. But that's not really true with like wing backs, right? Because like he is going to be a lot further forward in the games they're dominating. He is going to be in the box a lot more in the games he's dominating and taking shots, right? Versus center backs, it is true, right? Because they just get 2 corners and he might score 1, and it's not like the difference between like 2 corners and 5 corners is not so much that it's like, well, yeah, he's never going to score in this game, and I feel good about him scoring in this game. Like, that's just not what happens. Like, it's so few shots. It's not the case. But I do actually think that with wingbacks, you can kind of predict it, and I agree with you. I mean, I think you rotate him, you don't play him in the bad games, and they were a fucking bad defense last year. And they kept it clean against Chelsea and Man City, which you wouldn't have started him in this year. But the other cleans are Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Palace again, Everton, Brighton, Forest, and Wolves. Auto start every single time against all of those teams. And good chance of attack return is just a good pick. So yeah, I think Udogie's a good pick. And are there any other like very attacking fullbacks that you've kind of noticed? Was I guess Ferg's question.
Well, it's really just Chilwell and Perv, honestly. I mean, maybe Reece. That's still very loosely, very like 1 or 2 game of looking at like, oh, Chilwell's doing the things in the box and Reece isn't. But, Reece at least has that capability. And then Trent, right? Obviously, Trent.
Yeah, of course, Trent. And there's like
Trips.
Moreno, but like he's still
hurt.
fucked, and I don't know. I don't know if like Dean or Cash or Nailed or like how aggressive either one of them is going to play it. So that's kind of a mess too. Yeah.
Trips is still in that category. You know, I mean, he's expensive,
of course,
but he's definitely in that category.
For sure.
But yeah, there just aren't a ton, and there are even less that are 4 or 5. Quite possibly no others that are 4 or 5.
Well, I got one for you, Kirkez, but he's on fucking Bournemouth. So when are you gonna ever start him?
Well, I mean, there's also like Kabore, who's there's like Kabore who's playing wing back, right wing, or I think right wing back.
The promoted teams actually have these guys, but you don't want to start their defenders like ever. So that's the difference. There's what's his name, Doty, not the Doc. Doty on Luton is like on set pieces, really attacking, wing back, blah, 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 blah. And then, there is Doc on Wolves. I mean, someone asked about Doc. I think it was Ferguning also. He said, is the 0.4% owned 4 or 5 Matt Doherty with the fixtures the thing?
Why would he be starting? How do they start him over Semedo?
Has he been? I have no idea.
I think he subbed on. The one team I have really not been clocking what they've been doing in preseason is Wolves. I just don't care. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I saw him
did not start the last game. He did not start the last game.
I mean, I don't believe we live in a world where he can be starting Premier League games, but I could be wrong.
And I don't like their fixtures also. I mean, I've been arguing with a friend who's a Wolves fan a bit because he's like, we're good. He's like 13th place floor. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? But like their fixtures are mismatched. Like if their homes were aways and their aways were homes, I'm in. But their homes, early doors, are Brighton, Liverpool, Man City, Villa. And their aways are the maybe good ones, right? Not Man United, but they're away Everton, away Palace, away Luton. I'm like, no, we want those home, and then maybe we can make a case for starting them. But I don't want to start them in any of these games.
Yeah.
So I'm out on that.
Yeah. Yeah, defense has been really difficult for me, honestly. Way more difficult than I thought it would be.
There's actually a ton of guys I like, to be honest.
Yeah, I just haven't really been able to settle on it. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I mean, the reason I had that thought and then followed through a little bit with some examples of the wingback predictive attacking numbers is because I was like looking more at Rico Henry, who again might be hurt, but everyone says he's kind of fine. But like, I don't think of him as much of an attacker. Like he really doesn't put up numbers. But when you break it down like fixture by fixture, like, yeah, there is an increase. Like there's more touches in the final third. There's more touches in the box. It's more like attempted crosses and stuff in the games where they're on top. And it makes sense, you know? So I've been happy to go. I mean, the defense in my current tinker is Gvardiol, Akanji, Henry, Gahey, and Udogie.
Yeah. There you go.
Who knows?
Let's I mean, I think the addition of Gvardiol makes it maybe, but I was playing like with that idea of just having 2 5 million City defenders with a deep bench.
That's what I have. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough with Akanji because I mean, he might play like 1 in 4, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, what do you make of Akanji? Because he just started like basically every game last season from when he got transferred.
Yeah, I mean, he's competent, but that seemed like it was more like an emergency buy from them to just make up numbers rather than this is a player that we're going to commit to. And he's like a core, like he's fine, but I don't think he's like great.
I mean, I agree with that. And I think it was definitely like clearly an emergency buy, but that doesn't mean you have to play him in every game, right? Like eventually the other guys were fit. And he still started every game. He started fucking left center back, right center back, all the most important games, Champions League knockout ties, every fucking game. He just started.
Yeah. And I mean, it depends on how the knockdown effect of Gvardiol is and where Stones plays, because good players will not be playing games. You know, whether it's Ake, Akanji, Walker, if Walker stays. Laporte seems almost certainly to go. There doesn't really have any he doesn't really have any place in the team anymore. But
Cancelo.
yeah, I mean, Cancelo, who knows what happens with that? Like, there's just a lot of uncertainty there. So, yeah, I mean, Ake's hurt right now.
He's hurt.
And we don't know how long. We don't know how long for. But yeah, I mean, Akanji at $5 million.
I'm just like, I run him out. I start obviously in this team. If I was gonna settle on this team, I'd start Akanji and Gvardiol every week.
No Purvis,
and just hope this team doesn't have Purvis. Crazy.
I thought you were the.
He's only
Purvis
50% owned. I mean, no problem.
I mean, were you starting to come around to what I was talking about with him as a transfer waiting to happen, or Caicedo
no? It's more just
what?
how, Caicedo, McAllister. I mean, I spoke to a Brighton guy today who was like, "Our defense. Oh, we need defenders. I don't expect clean sheets." And I was like, "Geez, yeah." And they're just like conceding goals, conceding chances. I'm just not sure. You know, part of the Pervening's appeal to me was that he's one of the only very attacking fullbacks in the league, and Brighton are statistically a really good defense who you can count for cleans in these easy games to start with. But, like, I'm not sure about the second half of that. You know, Europa League starts really soon. I'm just like, fuck, I don't know, man. Don't know. It's risky. But I think any non-Brighton slot in anyone's team is risky because of home Luton, at Wolves, home West Ham. And like what they do in those games could just wreck you if you don't have like Mitoma or Pedro or Perv or whatever.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, the only one that would, Mitoma's owned, but Perv is owned really highly.
Yeah.
But I mean, in that team you just said, I mean, you can easily just put Perv in for Akanji.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
which is probably smart.
2 5s.
It's probably smart.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to, you know, how risky do you want to be, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not owning any of Haaland, Rash, Perv, you'd risk, and just by sheer numbers of owned.
I'll put Perv in for Akanji for now, see how that feels.
Yeah.
Ben said Steele or the Fleckening. So you're settled on Johnstone?
Pretty settled, yeah. That feels pretty settled for me, honestly. Him and Turner, I like that combination a lot.
Great pick.
Yeah.
Who do you like, Steele or Fleck?
I prefer Steele, honestly.
Wow.
I think, I like them better.
Even without Caicedo? Probably.
Yeah. I think they're better. Brighton better. Fleckening. Don't know about the Fleckening.
I've been on Fleck pretty much all preseason. I'm still on him.
Okay.
Don't know if that'll change. We'll see.
I mean, what are we looking at for them? They've got Spurs home, at Fulham, home Palace, home Bournemouth, at Newcastle, home Everton, at NFO.
It's a fucking great
Fine.
run. That's a great run.
They're fine.
And it's keeper.
I'm not a Brenham believer, dude.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Terp said if you only look at the first 3 to 4 fixtures and you have to choose just one sub 8 million attacker, would you rather have a Bumo/Wissa or a Mitoma/Pedro? I mean, it's kind of what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think you got to.
It has to be the Brighton guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking that short term, it's absurd.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Pedro is interesting. I mean, he started the other day, took a pen while Grob was on the pitch.
Do we have to talk about him? Because he's trending upwards.
Yeah, got subbed early, but, you know, home Luton, at Wolves, home West Ham. A big concern with him is just the way that you build your team. There is nowhere to go from there. So if he fucking falls on his face, you're going to have to remove another good player in your team that you probably won't want to remove because this is the corner you're cutting to make the rest of your team, right? You have a 5-5 starting striker.
Yeah.
Could be a concern. Could be an issue.
You could possibly make up for it in another position, like with the money. Like everyone has some sort of tinker, I assume, by now. So if you take out like a striker and put in Pedro for him, like maybe you don't have a 4-0 defender and you increase that to someone who's actually pretty good, or you increase your 4-5 mid to someone who's like not a nightmare to try and fade the potential disaster that is João Pedro. But it is getting a little bit like, damn, like him at number 10, like that's fucking good. Him on pens, like,
yeah,
30 million, a lot of money for them. There's a lot of cases to be made that he's a punt worth taking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, then it's 2 for me. I mean, I still have been pretty determined to keep Ollie, and I don't want to play 3 strikers because there are so many more mids that I'm interested in. So that's also been difficult for me to even look at non-Ollie 2 striker up top teams with Haaland,
Yeah, Ollie has actually been I don't know what to do with Ollie. I really don't know what to do. He's obviously donging for fun in preseason. He's the second worst pen taker in the league to Mitrovic. So that's just like minus points and no bones waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And then there's the thing that there's no answer to until it happens of like, he obviously got better in the second half of the season. I personally, this is just a me thing, I think. I can't decide between he's 8 million. We haven't even seen his ceiling yet. He showed improvements. There's no reason he won't improve more. He could fucking be a 200-point player, or he's 8 million and he's just going to earn his price and tick because he's always been just a ticking solid player who plays 90 in every week and plays every game. And then, so like the difference between those two is like, if he's the latter, I think there are cheaper guys who have like similar floors who will tick and I'll save the money there. And then there's also other guys who I think have potential higher ceilings, whether it's mid or forward. But if he's the former, then like he should obviously be in the team because he's 8 million and he could get 200 points. And so I can't make up my mind and I don't know where I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, I think you're sort of making, all you've done is both of those sides is making the argument to start with him, because the worst case scenario, he's just earning his price. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, kind of.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Because like his floor is solid. But like if I'm thinking there's a chance he is his floor, then I'm like, there's so many players that I think have the same floor that are way cheaper and change the structure of my team if I go for them instead of Ollie. You know what I mean? That's like the case. I'm not saying one is right or wrong, but it's like, that's the problem I'm having.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I believe in the player. I think that the steps he took last year are significant and gained. And, I mean, it's also, you can look back on his kind of career. He never had an actual competent manager since he's been at Villa. Like, they've had actual fucking brain dead idiots who didn't know what they were doing.
Literally a fact.
He's getting all of these consistent returns on relegation fodder Villa, who stayed up because of Hawkeye breaking on a game. Oh
my God, Villa fans are fucking unsubscribing, raging right now.
It's true. You do whatever you want. It's true. I mean, and Ebenings, that was another thing with, that I was listening with Kaylee, and I just kept shaking my head, is like, just because Emery has been doing this doesn't mean he's some fucking dinosaur and he's an inflexible.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, to me, it's like, no, he came here, he already failed at Arsenal doing maybe that. And he's like, I need to adjust. I need to adapt. I mean, to me, it's like, he's just evolving as a manager and he's going to continue.
Yeah, I mean, they might play three at the back. It's like, they're clearly doing different stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just believe in the Ollie situation here. So clearly that's a me
and
thing.
Again, I mean, how much one decides to, pay attention to preseason form or not, also, I think is a big decision on why. Is like ownership is climbing every day, right? Jesus hurt and Cuckoo hurt. Ollie just scores every fucking game. Literally every game, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too, to just reconsider, just add into your, piece of information is, he has strived in the past when they're playing on the counterattack, which they will be doing, in game weeks 1 and 4. The team and he has not been very good when they are playing even or lesser matched opposition and flat tracking them. Literally all they did this offseason was add in this area to do better at that. In my opinion, to just be better at that. And I think, he's just kind of one of those players who has no bad fixtures and he's not priced as a premium player.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just, I could keep going on and on.
Yeah, no, I think everything's right that you're saying.
But he is, when you're, 2.5 million to João Pedro is not nothing, you know?
Right.
So
or
if you talk
2
yourself
to
into
Wissa,
that,
right? Like
yeah,
if I'm thinking
exactly.
Wissa's 150-ish and Ali might be 150-ish, that's ridiculous, you know? But like,
Right.
I don't know if I actually think both of those things, you know? So I need to still like just make my call, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the other aspect to that is, you know, how much do you need that? And because you can just look at that same question and obviously nobody knows, but you can say, I'm going to reassess this after game week 3, and then I'm going to make a decision.
Yeah.
You can't spend one transfer to go from Wissa to Watkins.
Yes.
Can't do that.
Correct.
So unless you keep $2 million in the bank, which doesn't make too much sense, right? Hey, but you know, so that's
good
just
idea.
something else. You know, it's just you have more
the flexibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And what are you doing defensive? This isn't a question, but it's a question from me to you. What are you doing defensively with Villa? Because I don't know. Villa correspondent Jess, who DMs me on Twitter after every preseason game, said Pau didn't look comfortable at left back. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts at left center back, though, with Dean at left back. But is he nailed? No. Only Cash and Konsa and Martinez are nailed. We have no natural replacement for Cash. Chambers can fill in, won't start. Konsa's safe. That's just, basically what you're saying is Konsa's actually the most safe, followed by Cash.
Yeah, I haven't had them in my team for a little while. I mean, I like Colwell a lot more. I like Udogie now. I mean, I think is just more interesting. If I'm, you know, I think this is more a spot to play with, and I think that there's a little bit more you could get there. They also, you know, it's just, yeah, you know, you don't have too much certainty around Villa and you know what they're going to be up to. So I still think you're fine to pick one of them, but I'm also looking more at, you know, City defenders and, you know, maybe not having as many 4-5s as I initially thought I would.
Yeah.
I could backtrack on that. You know, I could see myself coming into the season with Perv and 4-4-5s. Like I could see that. And then in which case, you know, maybe Pau sneaks in, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm also not, I think I'm not as high on their defense as a lot of people. Yeah. And I think that is similar to kind of what you were saying with like the Cayley pod. I think that's like a relic of Emery ball that we're just like, well, Emery's their manager, so they're just going to never attack and just defensive possession, be really tight. But like they didn't really do that in the second half of the season. They played a really high, really dangerous line. And there were tons of games where they just got like completely exposed and conceded a bunch of goals. You know, like the goals didn't happen as much later in the season, but the shots and the XG was still bad in some of those games. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. Even though like when Pau got transferred, I was kind of like, oh, he's straight in my fucking team. But now it's just like, I feel like they're learning a new system and like it's going to be sketch and probably not the best thing for clean. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, that is sort of the case for almost every team. So it's like,
I know.
You know, it's hard. But it's not like we have so many.
They don't have Udogie's attacking intent, right? That's
obviously.
Like the difference.
Yeah. No,
and then
absolutely.
like, I mean, I also have a list on my phone that's just like, don't forget list. And one of my don't forget things is just don't forget about Palace defense. I mean, there's one thing that they have no change in system or personnel, really. You know,
they just have an upgrade with a straight best upgrade that they've ever had in their lives by getting Lerma in.
Straight up upgrade, tight defense, really good center backs, really defensive team, good keeper. You know, so like when I look at that and I'm like, oh, Gahey's all of a sudden just straight at my team. Like, you know, I just feel good about that.
Yeah, I'm better clean sheet shout, given the same fixture than Villa, I think for sure.
Yeah.
And that looks more to me of when are you stressing that you need this player, like which weeks and what do the fixtures look like?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
Makes sense, right?
All right, let's talk a little bit about our teams and do this and get out of here.
Yeah, we'll try and Thursday pod will maybe do some more questions and talk more about our teams. I think less like this was like the makeup pod of like we haven't talked about questions for a month.
Yeah.
So let's try and get some. So I mentioned my Nico Jackson problem. I mean, obviously the double City tinker is risky, and also it rubs against a lineup leak, right? If I'm like going in pretty comfy with this double City at the back or something, and then like Foden starting, I'm like, oh, fuck. All of a sudden I'm like, I need to get rid of this, change this midfielder, you find money here, blah, blah, blah. So I need to think about that too.
Does that make sense though? Because say Foden doesn't start, are you going to immediately get rid of him after game week 1? Like, what are you telling yourself that like I want Foden to keep him? Because he could start game week 1. Like he could start game week 1, then just doesn't start Newcastle or whatever. Like with Foden, we know that happens all the time. But you're just saying because it's Burnley, that is the deciding factor.
No, the deciding factor is that he's starting game week 1 with a fully fit squad. And to me, that's like an indication of first choice. That's an indication of, okay, pre-Champions League, maybe he starts 5 out of 6, 4 out of 6, something like that. And it's a really good fixture, right? So it's both. And it's like, well, maybe he only starts the good ones. Sure. He doesn't start home Newcastle, but he comes back in for away Sheffield. Great. So that's what it is for me with Foden, is because when he starts, he just has such a high ceiling. And the way that my team tends to be constructed lately is not going for a promoted 4-0 defender. I have a 4 or 5 on a mid-table team protecting. So I don't feel as bad, There's someone to play.
If you have City defenders, you have to do that.
Yeah, right, exactly. You have guys to play.
Yeah. So what else? Are you still on Mo, or have there been any changes?
Mo's been a mainstay. Haaland's been a mainstay. Matto, Saka, Wissa, I think they're all in. I think Udogi's likely. I think Henry's relatively likely. I've been on Flecken.
Is he fit?
I forget his name, but the athletic Brentham guy was like, I spoke to Frank after, and he said it was just precautionary. He's fine to start game week 1 or something. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been fucking with Bruno. I think Vardiol will be in, and then it's it's still that Nico Jackson spot, the maybe other 5 million defender spot, maybe a Stupinian. I've been on Flecken for a while. Probably just stay because I just don't want to use brain power on there. So it's mostly there, I would say, with a few spots and maybe a leak eligible to change. I feel okay, but I also just haven't been no Rash. I have Bruno in this team. So that's probably, this is no Rash and no Brighton attacker. So those are by far the biggest risks, probably from an ownership perspective. Yeah. But Pedro could come in for me. I still might go Matoma. I still love him.
You can get there if you want.
Very easily get there. Nico's 7 million, so that's really easy.
So
to
you're
get
in a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a 4-5 mid.
I'm back on Rash over Bruno.
Okay.
That changed from when we last spoke. It's just
it's because of the yellow card petulance, right?
That's absolutely why. Him, Saka, and Haaland, the ownership is
scary.
And I don't really feel like I want to necessarily just throw away my season before game week 1 starts. And I feel I feel like that is a huge risk with Rashford, because I was also kind of thinking of just, people keep talking, oh, Mount's here, Bruno's here. I'm like, how do they score goals without Rashford being involved? They don't, they score goals without Bruno being involved literally every game,
Yeah.
If Rashford's not the one actually scoring them, then they don't really actually happen. And
certainly last year, yeah.
But even, what's changing this year? It's okay. Maybe there's some lung-busting run from a side pass to Mount, and he beats 4 guys and shoots and top bins it. But no one else is there. They could maybe set piece stuff like that. But I don't know. He's just I feel like there's so many more issues there that I'm like, give me fucking these. I would ideally have none of these guys, I think, because I still don't know what Man United are doing. They still don't have the striker in. I don't know how good they're going to be anyway. But
there's a world where I go with neither of them, I think.
Yeah.
That
home
world
Wolves
exists.
at Spurs, home NFO. I don't think I want to find out without them looking at, Rashford's in literally half the teams in the game,
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if they like, I'd be very happy to sell him game week 4 if I feel like I have a better finger on the pulse, and I'll be one of the first, removers of Rash. But I don't know. I feel like it just kind of got myself too worried about that. And Perv is a little bit of the same thing, just because I don't think that there are some slam dunk alternatives. He's in half the teams, and the first 3 games, even if Caicedo doesn't play, they could still keep 2 cleans in the first 3. And I don't feel confident that I'm just going to be making that up. And he can get a 12 or 15 pointer in any of those games.
Yeah, I forgot that while we were talking before, I put him in for a Kanji to see how it feels. And it just makes too much sense, really. With those first 3, it's just so ridiculously good.
Yeah. So that's one change I made. And I mean, I've had Jota in for a while now.
Love to hear that.
I haven't really played with Mo. I don't like the teams that I make with Mo.
Okay.
I just don't.
I think a lot of people are on that. I mean, what's his ownership now? It never got
still
high.
23,
dude. That's low for him. That's very low.
Yeah, no, it is low. It's low for him for sure. He's usually like 40, 50% or at least or whatever. Because I just don't feel so good. I mean, it comes back to City defense, honestly. That's like the biggest thing is like, I do feel like they will keep some cleans in the beginning of the year because they usually do. And having Stones and Ruben feels like a really nice thing to be able to do. And I feel better that I can make the points up in the attacking spots than when I have all these 4 or 5 guys. And I could be looking at Purvis plus 2 bad picks, and I could be getting, under 10 points from my 3 defenders every week for like the first 3. And I'm like, how many points does Mo have to get more than, Jota in that time period for me to come out ahead? It's like a lot.
A fucking lot,
I mean, it's not only that, it's plus, then I'm getting 2 6-5 midfielders or whatever. So
Yeah, the trickle down of Mo, I think, is really where a lot of people... Because everyone started the same way, right? Like a month ago when the game opened, everyone was like, oh my God, triple Arsenal and Bruno and Rash and then Holland. And it's like, oh wait, there's no room. And I think it's hard for people to be like, okay, I'm going to take out these picks that I like on good teams for Mo. And like downgrade these 2 positions,
Yeah, it is hard. But I mean, I think the one thing, Foden is the biggest question I think I need to really answer.
Yeah, Foden's a big one.
Because I have right now my midfield is Saka, Jota, Rash, Kulusevski, and Matto. So I can make Kulusevski Foden very easily.
Double Spurs. I mean, I do like that more. I mean, I've always loved Kulu as a player. I just don't know.
He might be too undercooked as an FPL pick. Yeah, I mean, he might just pass too much and not do enough of the other things.
He really doesn't shoot often, and when he does shoot, it's like a below average shot.
Yeah.
Just like where the angle that he's shooting from. And he creates a decent amount of chances, but it's not like he's some, Kev type figure, so.
No, absolutely. I mean, if I were to go with Foden,
I prefer the Foden. Yeah.
Would you Ruben or Stones? Who do you think is a better pick there? I have no idea.
That's hard. I wonder what like City people who really dedicate their lives to the lineups think about that. But I feel like Stones is just so much more versatile.
Yeah.
Right. He's genuinely, you could argue, first choice right center back or right back.
Yeah.
Whereas Diaz is just like he's playing center back or he's on the bench.
He can only play in the middle.
Yeah.
And
he's a donger.
Sense.
Stones is a donger.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it's not like I'm just comparing Foden to Kulu, but I could get anyone there. I could put Eze back in if I want. I had Eze in for a long time.
You had you had what's his name for a long time too, Bowen.
Yeah, but I could. Yeah, they just seem like they're trying to transfer and make sauce, and they seem like there's
that
a
midfield's so dominant though.
I know. There's just such a stench. I just don't think I want to go
Maguire
there.
and McSauce double move.
I know. I mean, because ultimately, I still might just prefer to keep the double defense, and maybe I just need to look for a different answer to that spot rather than Kulusevski.
Right.
I mean, I could just put Eze back there and leave 0.5 because, like, having Purvis, Ruben, and Stones, starting them every week with Colwill and Udogie on the bench, I could just move the two of them back and forth based on fixture just as shields. And then I
terrific.
could put Colwill in and get rid of Purvis later when his transfer. Like, that seems like a really nice back five. And I don't know if putting Foden in is worth the disruption, because I do feel actually like Ruben and Stones are going to play like very, very nearly all of the games in the first couple months.
Rewind
it just seems that way.
Premium Pod. I mean, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I remember I looked at last year when we were saying the exact same things at the beginning of last year, starting with City. They don't rotate that much before Champions League. And we were right. I mean, Cancelo played every game. I think Walker played every game. I think Ake played every game until he got hurt. And we were just like, yeah, this is just the back five, including Ederson, in this insanely good run at the beginning of the season before rotation starts. And they kept like 2/3 cleans.
Yeah.
And so I think that like we're on to something there by going for that. It's just a matter of, I guess, if you're comfortable, and I think I know the answer for both of us, like wild carding once it becomes not good, because it will become not good, right? Yeah. Like that almost always happens with Pep. So
yeah, and I mean, maybe I just go back to Raz. I mean, he's been someone I've had in a lot, and I love him so much. Eze is tough because I love the player. We're still like, he's gonna get points, but I mean.
Yeah.
We're still Palace. I mean, we're still going to score.
It's still Hodgson.
Yeah, I mean, it's, even though he is the center of literally every possible thing, and he's in this position to, with the 6 and a 6.5 playing with him to just do everything. I mean, we're still just not going to be getting that many opportunities every game.
I agree.
And, none of that's changing. So there's still, I don't know, maybe Mitoma. I mean, I haven't really thought of Mitoma very much, but he's still there. It could just be play the fixtures, look at how all these guys settle, and then jump after game week 3.
Which it's
hard to really go wrong there.
Yeah, I think that is sort of what a lot of the like historic top managers do, not because they're boring or scared or whatever, because it's a good way to stay with the pack and diverge later, right? Like, it's a good strategy to not be exposed to unanimous good picks, right? Like, none of these guys that we're considering swerving, we would say are bad picks, right? It's just a matter of like, I want to go elsewhere, or I think someone else is better, but I would never be like, 37% own Mitoma, bad. Like 22% own Ollie, bad. Like, no, I'm fully aware they're good picks and reliable, and they're going to start every game.
You can't have everyone,
but you just can't have everyone.
Yeah.
And I really want Mo. I think that's a problem for me. Is like, I just don't see a world where I don't have Mo.
Yeah. So tell me again why. Like, why do you really want him?
Best midfielder in the game. No, no one else has his ceiling. That's just a fact.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Off the worst season in Liverpool's last 6 years. I think they rebound. I think the attack is better this year. I think Mo will be better by proxy. Second half, how good he was. He was fucking back to 6 years ago, Mo. Returns and double returns every week. Double-digit hauls all the time. And I think at Chelsea's decent. I think home Bournemouth's a fucking banker, best captain by so far. And I'm not scared of the other fixtures. Like when Mo's playing well and Liverpool are attacking well, the fixtures don't really matter that much.
Yeah, fixtures don't matter. It's just a captain, is it a captainable fixture
or
not?
And so it's like, it's not that I'm buying low. He's fucking 12.5 million. But I feel like every other 8 to 9 mid that most people seem to be 100% convinced are just the best picks in the game and all going to get 200 points aren't. Like half of them aren't, and we just don't know who they are yet. And
definitely.
Whereas I feel comfortable that Mo's floor is 230 points and his ceiling is 300. So I just like that. I just like the security of just
That's
like,
fair.
Liverpool might be the best attack in the league. Who knows?
Yeah,
That's
that could be
on the table, so.
Yeah. It just, to me, it comes back more to I agree with what he will do. It's just more the compromise in the team elsewhere.
Yes.
And, I just haven't liked that. So, what would happen for you or I, to sit and say having Mo is a mistake or not having Mo is a mistake?
Yeah.
That's a bigger question. Maybe we can revisit, because we have had a hard time with that forever. Last year I was
6 straight years.
Yeah,
5 straight years.
I'm with Holland now. It's the captaincy question, and but you have the 6 million Wissa who you really like a lot, and that's a big difference.
Yeah,
because that is the spot you have to go budget forward there.
Yeah, if there's not a guy that you love and you feel good about starting every week in that price bracket, you basically can't go Mo and Holland. You have to have that player, and I have no interest in going like 4 at the back or 5 at the back, because we've talked extensively about how bad cleans seem to be in the league right now.
Right.
So that's definitely a big part of it. But I think about how much we don't know, right? Like that's a thing that I try and circle back around to all the time, right? Last season, where were we? We were Mo, cap him for the first 6 to 8 game weeks, and then we'll see where we're at with like Holland or whatever. What happened? We kept him Mo for 2 game weeks, and then it was Holland auto cap. Don't even need Mo on our team. Why would we ever have Mo Holland's auto cap every week for the rest of the season? Like, we're 2 games away from being like, oh, everyone needs Mo, cap him every week. Possibly. I'm just saying, possibly. Whereas I don't really see that conclusion with any of the 8 to 9 mids.
Absolutely.
And I like having that. And, of course, we've talked about the flexibility. Rashford comes out the gates flying. Boom. I just do Mo to Rash. Like I have no hesitation doing that.
You'll just be at a low rank.
Yeah, I'll just be 14 points behind, assuming Mo blanks the week that Rashford hauls.
Yeah, which is not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. So, yeah. Okay, bro.
So, another week of tinkering ahead, and then we'll do Thursday, and then we'll be back.
And then we'll be there. Holy shit, we'll be there. Let me slap asses. Bunch of new Patreon signups. Thanks for signing up. We got Rolling Sixes, August Vinberg, Zachary Eanes, Ben Riggs, Moriarty Crypto, David Graham, User Name, Wildest, Young Wook Lee, Old Taurus Hoyvind, Emil Haig, and Peter Frank. Get in there, baby. Slap the asses. Let's fucking go. Any last words, dude?
See you tomorrow.
Check us out at FMLFPL.com. Follow us on Twitter at FMLFPL, sports at patreon.com/FMLFPL. Subscribe, rate, review, jam.